fantastic, marvelous, absolutely tremendous morning. Yes, God woke you up this morning, woke me up this morning because we can breathe. We were chosen for this day. And for that, we should give him the hallelujah, the praise, the worship, right? The acknowledgement. Yes, that he is. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I was chosen for this day that will never come again. But I'm going to make the best, the greatest out of this day just by doing two things: staying sober and being of service to others. That's it. That's all he requires. So before I get started with Sunday special edition of 1 hour, y'all get to get me from 1 hour. And you see something different, right? But that's okay. I'm going to play my testimonial song for today. And it is dedicated to my sister, Ruby Amira Hall Wells. This is her favorite song. And I thought at one time she dedicated it to me. But guess what? I can dedicate it to myself because I almost didn't make it. Listen. I
gotta do this one. Everywhere I go, I have to sing this song because it's such.
Okay, this is going to sound a little nuts, but the fastest and easiest way to make passive online income on
Special part of me. Out of all the songs that I've written, of all the songs that I sing, this one means most to me. It's closest to my heart. I've been singing for quite some time now. Folks prophesied on me years ago. Said that I won't be nothing. They said that I wouldn't make it. They said that I wouldn't last long. They said that I would never amount to anything. But I want them to know tonight that I am still holding on. Hey! I'm holding on tonight. Have you got time to sing it tonight? I'm fortunate tonight to have my cousin Deborah here. And the original version of this song, she sings it. I wonder would it be all right if she sing a verse? Would it be all right if Deborah's come out and sing it? Come on, give Deborah a hand. She comes out. Amen. Come on, listen tonight. Come on, make her feel welcome. Come on.
They said I wouldn't be here today. They said I'd never amount to anything. But I'm glad to say that I'm on my way. And I'm going more and more each day. There were many that started all the
right if I sing in verse 7? Thank you. Well, I wrote the song. I'm going to sing it anyhow if you don't like it. This is my purpose. You see, when I was young, I gave God my hand. And I told him, I said, Lord, will you lead the way? And though my road has been rough, and even though my going's been mighty tough, but still, I've been going through the wilderness. I'm not here to stay. Yes, I've been talked about. Let me say here, you've been talked about. So many times I've been criticized. I've had to wipe so many tears from my eyes. Oh, but that's all right. But I'm still holding on. I got a witness in it now. I'm still holding on. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm still holding on to my God's hand. Somebody say when you feel it, we're sing it this time. Come on. I want you to know that I'm still holding on. I'm holding on. Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I'm still in God's holy plan. I come here to tell you tonight, I'm still holding on. I'm holding on. Every day of my life. And I'm bound for the promised land. And I want you to know that I'll never let go. I won't let go. This hand,
I'm still holding on to God's hand. And I don't know if y'all heard the young lady's name that he called on to sing a verse. And when I heard for the first time in this song, he called out, Deborah, Deborah, Deborah. This is my sister, Deborah, right here. This is my sister, Deborah. And it's those moments that make me realize nothing happens by accident. Nothing happens by coincidences. No, I believe and I know everything is a divine providence, divine intervention, divine spiritual awakening. Why? Because we are all connected to everything that God has created. So I'm holding on to his hands. So Deborah Jean, this is dedicated to you. Even though she has transitioned, that my Deborah Jean. Okay. All right. So welcome. All right. Let's see here. Let me get it going on. Okay. Da, da, da. All right, I'm gonna get it together, y'all. These are happy tears. Welcome to the February the 5th perspective of AA Daily Reflections, where the title of today's topic is A Glorious Release. I'll be incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja of P3 University. I don't represent Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't represent the Ruiz family. I don't even represent Dr. Sonja. Why? Because they all are doing their own representation as I for the God that we all serve. I do not own the rights to that song by Luther Barnes. I'm still holding on, but I can sing it. I can yell it. I can respond to it. And I'm going to let these tears dry on their own. I don't believe in wiping the tears away. I don't believe it. No, let them flow because it's cleansing, it's refreshing, and it shares the innermost of my emotions and my spirit. Okay? So, today is Sunday, right? And on Sundays, you got me for a whole hour. And I'm going to do something different today because it was revealed to me a couple of things that I should do a summary of the previous days, Monday through Saturday, and then culminated with today's teaching, right, of the AA Daily Reflection reading, right? And so I also wanted to do something different, meaning I usually come on with my different mask, right? And makeup and all, which I still have on today. And so there are times when I do that purposely, intentionally, right? To let you know that as a person who was delivered from drugs, alcohol, prostitution, and all of the associated behaviors, attitudes, ideas, and actions nearly 33 years ago, underneath a parked car in the streets of Philadelphia, 3:00 in the morning. See, I can smile now because I was delivered. The God I didn't know met me underneath that parked car just the way I was. Prepared me, right? Chose me to be sitting here before you today as cuckoo for Cocoa Pops as I am. And so for me, under that car was a very humiliating experience, one that I will never, ever forget, but one that was needed, absolutely needed, required to gain some humility, be humble, and ask for help. So because of that experience, I now know that it is through humility that I choose to practice being as transparent as I possibly can and authentic as I possibly can. Why? Because I remain humble. It is not the mask that makes me, the wig, the makeup, none of that. But through the 12 spiritual principles, I had to go back through the 4th step to learn how to remove the physical mask that covered up a lot of emotional, right? Feelings, thoughts, ideas, belief systems. And so now being in this process nearly 33 years, on February the 23rd of 2023, we will be celebrating 33 years of recovery, of spiritual growth, of spiritual wisdom, and most importantly, applying and practicing these 12 spiritual principles, now incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family, and most recently, the transformational teachings of Dr. Sonja from P3 University. And so I believe wholeheartedly that the mask must go. And so today I choose to reference my ancestors because the different masks that they wore were of a spiritual nature. Okay. Yes. And so I am going to remain for this hour as I am. But y'all know that these teeth are not mine, they are dentures. And you know that I take them out just to show how authentic and transparent I am. Know that I snatched the wig off and removed the makeup because I want you to see who I really am when I go to bed at night and when I wake up in the morning. So in recovery, we learn don't look at the messenger. Close your eyes if you need to and listen to the spiritual message. Okay? And so because of the month of February, it's my anniversary month. I credit that to my mom and other people who celebrate the entire month for their birthday, right? And so I am dedicating the entire month of February as I prepared for my knee bowing experience where I called out to this God that I didn't know to take me out this life or show me a better way. So now for the month of February, every day really, I'm going to give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah for saving a wretch like me. Donald Lawrence says, we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. We are a spiritual being living and walking this natural experience in this thing called life. And so as a result of utilizing as much spiritual wisdom, spiritual knowledge, spiritual tools, spiritual, and as long as it is spiritual, I want it, I need it, I got to have it, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to get some more, right? And so for the month of February, my first obligation is to let you know that my Free to Hope is being relaunched. Free stands for From Recovery, Emerge Empowered, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally, world tour. Now, as a result of the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja, I now know that my calling is of a transformational speaker. And a few years ago, when I had 30 years, that's when I embarked on launching my world tour. And because of COVID and other things, okay, God said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You still going to touch one more. And from then on, I've been on my podcast, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, right, Twitter, just to give somebody hope. So on February the 23rd is a Thursday. I'm going to be sending out an invitation to you all to join me on a Zoom presentation session as I share my experience, my strength, my hope, and my perspective of my journey to spiritual transformation, right? Of transparency and authenticity, right? And so that's coming up. And there will be a request for a $33 contribution so that programs that help me in the past can receive the donations to help others. I don't need no money. I'm rich. I'm rich. I am rich. I am so rich. I am so rich, right? And so the $33 contribution will be used to plant seeds in other people like me, okay? And so also on February the 19th, I think, I'm going to slay The runway. Yes. Remember I told you that as a child I had aspirations of being a model, but I was discouraged because I was too short. I had a big butt. I had buck teeth back then. And so I I just surrendered that I'm not good enough. But the 12 spiritual principles and the Ruiz 5 agreements help me to understand no, no, no. That's what man says through domestication. No, no, no. You are a model because you are one of God's children. You're not a walkway model, but you are a model. But guess what? He gave me the desires of my heart. So I will be performing as one of the models with the Jones Accessory model team on, I believe it's Sunday, February the 19th, if I'm not mistaken, in Philadelphia. And the tickets are $75. And guess what? $75. But I want to purchase 5 to 10 tickets, and I want to give them away to people in recovery, people in rehab, people in detox who don't believe that we are a miracle, we are chosen, and that He has something for us to do. And so I'm going to be soliciting donations to help purchase 5 to 10 tickets to donate to people suffering from co-occurring diseases. Okay? Just to let them know they too can be a model, but they first have to be a model of a servitude position. And then He'll give you the desires of your heart. Okay? Then on February the 27th, Sunday. I love the oldies, y'all. I love the bop. I love the cha-cha. Listen, when me and my family, we go out to exercise. We don't go to drink. Oh, they don't. I don't go to drink or nothing, but I go to exercise because I was raised on the oldies. I love the oldies as much as I listen to my spirituals all day, all day. There's certain times when I just want to like what? Be me. Be me who is in transition, who is still making progress, right? And so I think that cost to get into that place is $15. So for the month of February, I'll be doing some different activities to celebrate my upcoming anniversary on February the 23rd of 2023. And I hope you will join me in 1, 2, 3, all of them, right? And you will get to hear my testimony on February the 23rd on the Zoom presentation. You will get to hear my platform for my coaching and consulting business, just to help one more. In other words, you will learn how, if the God that I serve did it for me, He can do it for you. Who would have thought I'll be sitting here before you with no public speaking experience? Didn't know that I could write. So at some of these events, I will be promoting my book, right? As you can see on the picture of the podcast is a picture of me and my mom holding my book, and it states from crack to Christ. People think it says from crack to Chris, but you had to see the symbol, right? That what was given to me. That's my journey. That's my story. But what it is my journal that I kept the first 4 years in my recovery, that's entitled As It Was Written. So you'll hear more about that during the Zoom presentation. All right. And so there's a lot of things that God is preparing me to do, and I'm ready to go because I'm still holding on. All right. So let's go in today's topic. I done spent 26 minutes, right, on the updates and sharing with you what's going on. So what I want to do now is first take a sip of my tea. Listen, y'all. I am so proud of myself. I had to stop for a minute. I'm so proud of myself, right? I tell you why. Okay, listen. I got an hour. I recognize that there's not a domestic bone in my body. No, no, I don't. No, don't like cooking. Don't like cleaning. None of that. I just don't like it. Right. After watching my mom and my aunt through the years in the kitchen, oh no, no, no. I want to be just like my dad. Cooking is beneath me. Cleaning is beneath me. I'll go out and make the money and provide. But there's not a domestic bone in my body. And so when we were in rehab, when I was in rehab, they teach you how to make up your beds. Although my mom tried to do that with 6 children, didn't last long, right? But in rehab, I was reintroduced to making up my bed every morning. And it lasted for whatever. And then when I got to live by myself and with family, honey, that making up the bed went to the wayside. But guess what? I made a commitment to myself, right? Being impeccable with my word as one of the first agreements with the Ruiz family. I'm going to make up my bed every day. Every day. And it's been close to 200 days. Yes. Wow, I'm so proud of myself. I tell you the secret though. So I put the bottom of the blankets underneath the mattress, right? And it's just me in the bed, right? So I slide in, I go to sleep. I'm not a restless sleeper where I'm all over the place. And then I learned the secret. If I just straighten it out before I get out and pull it up, ease out of it, my bed is made. The other thing I said I was going to not drink coffee all day. So, in Alcoholics Anonymous and 12-step program, a lot of people just come for the coffee, right? A lot of people just come for the coffee. And that's okay. But I know that I am naturally a hyped person, naturally. And so as a result of me being a hype person, and I have a high metabolism, right? And so I'm drinking coffee all day, hot, warm, cold, it don't even matter, right? And so, but I began to accept the fact that I crash sometime during the day where that caffeine don't wear off and whatever, and I crash. And I no longer like the feeling of crashing from, the caffeine and all. So I said, I'm going to make another commitment to myself. I'm just going to drink 1 cup of coffee every morning. This one. And then when I got sick, I asked my sister Ruby, about the ginger roots, right? And so I started substituting, like I did in my addiction, the ginger tea for coffee. So I had my coffee in the morning, and then in my refrigerator, I got bottles and containers of ginger juice that I heat up and I have in the tea. And guess what? I got more than 60 days. So listen, I'm learning to be impeccable with my word to myself. That way I can be impeccable with you. And so that's why I had to kind of interject that, those are some of my, not even New Year's resolutions, my everyday, because every day is a holiday. Every day I can practice these 12 spiritual principles. Every day I can be of service. Every day I will stay sober 1 day at a time. Every day I will continue to make my meetings. Oh, wait. Okay, I know. Listen, this is Sunday, right? And so every Sunday I go to my fellowship of the religion of my choice. Let me tell you a little bit. Okay, listen, this Sunday I can take it right. Let me tell you a little bit about that. So, while I was in my addiction, and maybe, when I was raised, I saw my grandma Carrie, Granny, my mom, and my aunt would all go to church. It was Bright Hope Baptist Church, right there down 12th Street, right? And we as children were told to go, but not every Sunday. We were we were taken on special holidays. Mother's Day, Easter, things of that nature, right? And as children, we don't, So my mom was a product of going to church every Sunday, to the point where that's where she met my dad in church. And that's where she got pregnant in church on the floor in the bathroom. Okay, that's another story. But what I'm trying to say is that church was not and religious was not it was not a norm for us, right? It was just on special occasions, whatnot. And so it was during um, me watching what adults do. My aunt in particular, she had a beautiful voice. My Aunt Margaret, people thought I was her child, right? And so she had a beautiful voice. And she was in the choir. And I would hear certain things and see certain things when it came to the pastors and the deacons and the men of the church. Feel me? The seed was planted there, but it didn't sprout until later, right? And so, okay. So my aunt, Margaret, that's who I can talk about, right? I don't know what you do, what they did, right? Was a woman of the church on Sunday, but she was something else during the week. And a lot of times with members of the church. So during my addiction, right, I know that my mother found, Christ in her own way, shape, form, or fashion. And she went to church every Sunday, but she did it all because she needed relief, which is today's topic, from my daddy, Eddie Hall. Mm-hmm. But she started going to church, right? And out of her 6 kids, 4 of us were addicted at the same time. And so just to cut through the chase, I knew where my mom was every Sunday. And so when I had gotten raped one time, several times, and I remember the blood, the shirts and everything, and I went to the church at 12th and Lehigh in Philadelphia, and I was stopped at the door, and the man said, "You can't come in here looking like that." But my mom's in there. I need my mommy. No, you can't come in here looking like that. Sit on the steps. I'll go get your mommy. What's her name? And I sat on the steps and I cried and I cried. And I said, "Next," I ain't saying there. I said, "Fuck the church. Fuck the church." And I went back out in the streets and got high. Another time when I was devastated, I had jumped off a roof. No, I didn't jump off the roof. I was escaping from a house to the roof, and I fell off the roof. And so I went to my mom's church, and this time I didn't even stop with the deacons. I slipped through, and I sat right beside her, and she never looked to see who sat beside her, right? So I dropped a pamphlet for her to pick up and give it to me. And she looked and she said, "Oh," she said, "Come here. Oh, look, hold up everything. Hold up everything." My mom took me to the altar. She took me to the altar and she said, "This is the one I've been talking about. This is the one. This is the one. This is the one." God didn't deliver me then, but he delivered my mom from cigarettes, right? So let me get to the point. So during my addiction, I remember not being allowed in the front door of the church, but I was allowed in the back door of the church to give the pastor some service. That's right, I said it. Mm-hmm. He didn't pray for me. He had me on my knees for something else. So I had a disdain for the church, the pastors, and the people in it. Hypocrites. So when I got into recovery, I'm so glad it was not a religious program. It was one of a spiritual nature. And so as a result of 15 years in the process of recovery, I received from a dream that Edwina, you need a shepherd. You need a church family. And so at work in my dream, I heard this song, and I followed the music, and I opened up the door, and at the end of the door, at the end of the hall, was a pastor at a podium. This is in my dream, right? And so as a result of that dream, because I dream all the time and remember most of them as a child, that's just, And I wanted to interview several pastors about that dream because I had a disdain. Even in recovery, I'm a thorn in some of those pastors' side, even in recovery, early recovery, that is, right? And so as a result of getting interpretations from the dream, it was one pastor, Christopher Allen Bullock of Canaan Baptist Church, that heard me, listened to me about my dream. And he said, Edwina, for the force that gave you that dream, go back to that force and ask for clarity, ask for direction, ask for guidance. He said, you know why? I said, why? That's the same force I use. Because I knew some of my pastor's history. And I saw how God worked with him, and who better to understand than somebody I know a little bit about their closet experiences that was exposed. But through humiliation, I too gained humility that said, no matter who I am man first, woman first, but I'm a child of God. And ever since then, I've been a part of that church going on 17 years. So you see? Okay. That was that. All right. Y'all got to tune into my Zoom presentation to hear the whole story, okay? All right, so let me get to the topic today. All right, so I got a half hour. Okay, so February the 5th, Perspective, A.A. Della Reflections, a glorious release incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja of P3 University. So take another sip of coffee or drink if you got it. I got ginger tea. And let's dive into this. I got a special surprise for you too, because I'm going to offer a summary of this week's presentations, right? Okay. All right. So let's do this. All right. And let's do this. And let's go. It says here, February the 5th, a glorious release. The co-founder who wrote the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions took a quote from page 27 that states, the minute I stopped arguing, I could begin to see and feel. Right there, step 2 gently and very gradually began to infiltrate my life. I can't say upon what occasion or upon what day I came to believe in a power greater than myself, but I certainly have that belief now. To acquire it, I had only to stop fighting and practice the rest of AA's program as enthusiastically as I could. And that again comes from 12 Steps and 12 Tradition, page 27. Now, the person in recovery writes, from his perspective, after years of indulging in a self-will run riot, step 2 became for me a glorious relief from being all alone. Nothing is so painful or insurmountable in my journey now. Someone is always there to share life's burdens with me. Step 2 became a reinforcement with God. And I now realize that my insanity and ego were curiously linked. To rid myself of the former, I must give up the latter to one with far broader shoulders than my own. Than my own, right? Than my own. So let's dissect that, all right? Okay. A glorious release. Can you think back when you had that moment of, listen, I'm transparent. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Everybody had this glorious experience. When you got diarrhea, when you can't hold it, when your stomach is turbulent, you get to that bathroom or wherever you got to go and you can relate to that, right? That's a glorious release, right? Oh my God. All right. So you can use that because it's real. But think back when you had a glorious relief of something. Somebody's miraculous miracle, somebody acceptance that this too shall pass, or a glorious relief that their burdens were lifted, that they got the job, they got the child, they, you know what I mean? That glorious relief where they were like until they had that breakthrough. Man, what a glorious release. Okay, that's how I get into these dissecting these words. So can you relate? All right. So here they are talking about members of Alcoholics Anonymous who we had a glorious relief from the master of alcoholism. Under every lash you will submit or you will die. What a glorious relief we found in surrendering to win. Okay. All right. So let's go on. Then it says here, right? Let's do these words, right? It says, the minute I stopped arguing, I could begin to see and feel. The minute I stopped arguing, pause button. The minute I stopped arguing. Have you ever been in a position where your anger was and then all of a sudden a D flashed in front of that anger and said danger, 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 right? This is how I associate this with that sin. The minute I stopped arguing and I saw danger, I could begin to see and feel. If I keep going down that road, I'm going to wind up using again, drinking again, or in jail. Hell to the no. And so he says, right there. Step 2, gently and very gradually begin to infiltrate my life. Now, we know that step 1 says we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives were unmanageable. Step 1 is the first step and the only step that we have to take 100%. And once you have that need bowing experience, you acquire that made up mind. Well, I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go back. And so with step 1, it says, okay, I'm putting the drink down because look, I'm powerless over it. I accepted it. Took me a long time, but guess what? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's why I believe when you surrender, you only surrender once. Okay? So step 2 says came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, meaning soundness of mind. And so he says here, right there, Step 2, gently and very gradually begin to infiltrate my life. Now, with that anger and danger, right? Step 2, came to believe, says, you keep on, you keep on with that anger, right? You're gonna wind up in jail. You're gonna wind up getting high again. Oh, hell to the no. Right then and right there. Listen, that fear of going back to prison stuff, it was a power greater than you. Woo! All right, so this is how you got to break this down, okay? So then he says, I can't say upon what occasion or upon what day I came to believe in a power greater than myself, but I certainly have that belief now, all right? So just like with our disease of alcoholism, many of us don't remember the day that we crossed from social drinking to alcoholic drinking. We can, because it was a gradual thing, right? It was a progression, as we shared before, going back in our history, okay? And so once we do the work, we will see that when people in recovery ask you, like they did me, Arena, think back. What happens to you every time you pick up a drink or a drug? In other words, what's your pattern? And so as we share our pattern, we are sharing it. They're not sharing it for us, because nobody can tell our story. Nobody. And so when you have the foundation of humility, you will become transparent and authentic. Just like that girl touched me when she said what she said, shared how she shared, said those things. I was like, wow, God, if you keep me sober long enough, I want to be able to share just like her. And so that at that time became a power greater than me. God used her in this room of H&I, hospitals and institutions, to touch this hard-headed person, okay? Let's go on. I got some more to show you, right? He says, right? But I certainly had that belief now. To acquire it, I had only to stop fighting, right? Stop fighting and practice the rest of AA's program as enthusiastically as I could. Y'all think I'm hyped now? Could you imagine me on crack? The energy is the same, but it's directed towards spirituality and not my humanness. So you better believe I'm hyped about recovery, and I ain't even on drugs. I'm on a natural high. And so when the God who chose to keep me here on this earth and put me on a pathway to recovery, yes, I want to know not what's wrong with you, Edwina. I want to know what happened to your girlfriend. You class price president, co-captain of the cheerleader team, this, and that. What's wrong with you, Edwina? No, I want to know what happened to me, right? Okay, so let's go on. So I stopped fighting, I stopped arguing. Listen, and as enthusiastically as I could, I've been a part of this process, and I'm happy. All right, so the person in recovery, he writes, after years of indulging in a self-will run riot, step 2 became for me a glorious relief from being all alone. Now, a glorious relief from being all alone. With the bottle, with the crack pipe, with the needle. You know. What a relief. Listen. He says again, step 2 became for me a glorious relief from being all alone. Nothing is so painful or insurmountable in my journey now. Nothing. As long as I hold on to the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous and the God of my understanding, nothing and no one will I give the power to make me go back underneath that parked car. Hell no. No. Absolutely not. I don't know what's in front of me, but I damn sure know what's behind me, and I don't want to go back. If I do, and when I do, it's to help one more person. So I know now, as a result of practicing these 12 spiritual principles, we got it going on and giving our God the honor and praise. He says someone is always there to share life's burdens with me. Okay. And so that's why I go to my meetings every day in one way, shape, form, or fashion. Yes, I do. People say, you still go? Yes, I do. I still go to my meeting. My children, my grandchildren, my family, they know where I am every time, every day. I consider it a doctor's appointment, my spiritual doctor's appointment, right? And I, for 1 hour, am among people like myself in recovery. Some who are still drinking and using, but they're in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. They are among us. We used to be there. And so we get to see where we was, and they get to see where they can come, right? And so I share all of my burdens in one way, shape, form, or fashion in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous with my sponsor, with my spiritual advisor, right? I get it out of here and I put it out there. That's why I'm known for being transparent and authentic. I have no secrets. No. Okay? All right, so let's go on. Okay. So he continues to say, let me move this out the way. All right. He continues to say, let me move this one. Okay. It says here, step 2 became a reinforcement with God. Step 2 became a reinforcement. Reinforcement. My Creator has been there all the time. It's amazing how the 5 agreements talks about the domestication process and the old belief system and this and that, and they're all lies. But our Creator uses the people he has chosen for specific tasks, like he's using me now. Right? So my belief that God was a punishing God was a lie. My belief that God could not forgive me after having that abortion as a prostitute was a lie. The fact that I thought something was wrong with me was a lie. Teach me, show me, reveal to me who I am and whose I am. And this process reinforced, reconnected me to the God of my understanding. I'm in love, y'all. I'm in love with my God. Oh, I'm in love. All right, so I got a few more minutes, okay? Then it says here, right? Step 2 became a reinforcement with God, and I now realize that my insanity and ego was curiously linked. I shared yesterday how one of our family members had died, and as a child, I was always sneaking around. I was always, what are you doing? What, peek through the peephole, right? Look what they doing. What they doing? That's me, right? So I was a curious child, and I still am. But I'm curious for the truth, for the light, and for the unconditional love. So, but back then, my ego, right, and my insanity were kind of linked together, all right? My curiosity, all right? So let's go here. All right, so then the last sentence says, to rid myself of the former, I must give up the latter to one with far broader shoulders than my own, right? To rid myself of the former, the ego, the conceited, the all me. Oh my God, I was forced to give it up because I could not get myself from underneath that parkour. And when I hollered out, whoever they say you are to take me out this life or show me a better way, I turned it all over to whoever they say you are. Take it. You choose. And he chose me. All right. So now let's go to the 5 agreements, right? Let's go to the 5 agreements, right? Because I said I was going to. No, let's let me see what I want to do. Hold on. Okay. All right. So let's go to the summary, and then I will share with you the 5 agreements. So this week on Monday, we talked about the daily reflection, freedom from and freedom to. Freedom from and freedom to. Freedom from active addiction, freedom from low self-esteem, freedom from the grips of our alcoholism, freedom from the devastating events that happen in my addiction, freedom from the loneliness, and incorporating the 12 spiritual principles, the 5 agreements, Dr. Sonja's transformational teachings, freedom to liberation, freedom to. So freedom from and freedom to was the topic on Monday, January the 30th. Okay. On Tuesday, we talked about our common welfare should comes first. Our common welfare. So let me get right to the nitty gritty. We are all human beings, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. And we live in this world, right? That none of us created, right? So our common welfare should come first. Should come first. But in Alcoholics Anonymous, our common welfare of people with the disease of alcoholism, we all must stay together because our common welfare should come first. My personal recovery depends on AA staying unified. That means I have to play my part. So go back to January the 31st to see what that saying was. Then you have on February the 1st, the goal is sanity, right? And so we have it in the second step, right? Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Sanity only means soundness of mind. So the goal in recovery is to be restored to soundness of mind, using the 5 agreements, the 12 spiritual principles, these transformational teachings, being restored to soundness of mind, one of a spiritual nature, putting it and applying it to human nature, right? So when we learn to do that, we are restored to sanity spiritually. Okay. And then let's see, on February the 2nd, we talked about rescued by surrendering, rescued by surrendering, right? You know, when you broke down like I did last night on the highway, you put this white shirt in and you're saying rescue me, rescue me, rescue me, right? And then we know the white flags from the war and all that kind of stuff, but we in recovery, we are talking about, right, surrendering to win. I gave the analogy of the boy drowning in the sea of alcohol, and a person in recovery jumped in to save him. He was screaming and shouting, and he wanted, no. The young man had enough sanity to help calm the young man down, and they both were able to come back to shore from the sea of alcohol. Rescued by just surrendering. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. Let me see. And then on February the 3rd, it was filling the void. Filling the void. Now, we are all creatures of habit. You better believe it. We're all creatures of habit, right? And some people's opinions, right? That there are good habits and bad habits, and okay, all right, but we are all creatures of habit. Yes, they say you do something for 90 days, that will help perpetuate that the consistency and the continuation of, right? Okay, right. Filling the void. So when we who rely so much on alcohol to deal with those inner issues by applying a outside substance, right? Guess what? When the liquor was gone, those feelings were still there. And so we had to find something to fill the void. And most of us, if not all of us, have found it in Alcoholics Anonymous through these 12 spiritual principles. All right. So, and then February the 4th was when faith is missing. I shared about that. Faith is not having faith is nothing new to us, right? No. We have faith we was going to get paid, right? When we work. We had faith that car was going to start, right? We had faith that drug dealer was going to give us crack and not drywall, right? We had faith that bartender was going to give us liquor and not watered down liquor, right? So when faith is missing. So now that we're on this other side, I learned underneath that parked car that whatever my God chose for me, even though I didn't know him, to take me out or show me a better way, I wanted to surrender and believe that what was in front of me was a lot better than what was behind me. All right. Okay. So we did talk about today's topic. So let me briefly reintroduce the 5 agreements. Okay. The 5 agreements: be impeccable with your word. Stop saying that, Weena, you never will, you're fat, you're ugly. No, you are beautiful. You are courageous. You can, you will. Stop sinning against ourselves, and that way we can stop sinning against others. Be impeccable with your word, right? Share love, truth, and the light. Agreement number 2, don't take anything personally. Whether it's an accolade or whether it's a praise, whether it's a judgment or a criticism, don't take anything personally. Practice that and watch what happens. And then 3rd, don't make any assumptions. Woo, you know how difficult that is, but it works. I've learned that when I make assumptions, it makes a butt out of you and me, right? And then if I do the first 3 agreements, I will always do my best. And then the last one is be skeptical, but learn to listen. I want y'all to go and get this book, right? And I want y'all to read it over and over again. I want you to listen to it online. I want to invite y'all to AA open meetings, right? If you're an alcoholic, we have closed meetings. In other words, help is available for the spiritual transformation, the psychic change that is needed to decrease self-will and increase the will of God. All right. So even though I ain't got to go to my meeting till 9 o'clock, I am going to tidy up around here a little bit. I love y'all. So look for information on the upcoming event of my Free to Hope World Tour. That's going to be kicked off on February the 23rd through a Zoom presentation where I will share with you my journey to transparency and authenticity, and also give you information about my coaching and consulting services. All right. If each one can teach one, I'm willing to do my part as well. Take care and make it a great day.